it's interesting because, one of the big discussions I hear a lot, too, is what about the use of some of these traditional mediums, right? Phone, email, and so on and so forth. When push comes to shove, the social stuff is still, and even email is degrees of separation. People are nastier in emails than they ever are in person, unless they're really furious, right? Because it's easier to be nastier in emails. Consequently, the real one-on-one interaction is always the telephone. And the other side of it is you have to think about one other thing. What's fundamental to all humans, right? Real communication. I'll give you an example from just personal experience. Very simple thing. Back in many years ago, Yvonne and I, my wife, lent someone money, and they didn't pay it back. And all they had to do was let us know what the problem was. But my guess is the person was so embarrassed, they never would respond. Consequently, we don't like them very much anymore. Now, the funny thing is, as you well know, or as anyone listening well knows, of course, is that human communication, real communication, is fundamental to all of this. Consequently, the phone is how things actually will ultimately get resolved if it's big enough. Nobody feels, even the people who are trying to use social media are only using it to get someone to talk to them. And I'll give you an ideal example. I had a huge issue for me with Verizon on international data plans, and I was really mad at them. And at a certain, but I'm a fairly influential guy, and senior management heard about it. Apparently, since I've heard, and all of a sudden I got on Twitter a note from VZW Wireless. Please follow us so we can talk to you. But I want you to note what that said. Please follow us so we can talk to you, right? So I followed them. They sent me a DM, a direct message, and it said, tell us more about the problem. I sent them a link to a blog post I had written. They looked at it. Then they sent me another DM. What's your phone number? And the next thing I know, a very nice guy from Verizon Wireless, who is in a power to do something, called me. And guess what? Throughout the entire process, when he was babying things along, he always called me. He didn't tweet me. He called me. And he was hoping I would respond to the call, which I did. It's the call where people actually fundamentally, emotionally resolve issues because they feel it's definitive, where it's a lot less definitive, where there's degrees of separation in the digital world. So call is when it's a serious problem where you're emotionally engaged heavily and it's bad, it's going to be settled by phone call. DMG Consulting, which is Donna Fluss's organization, did a study a couple of years back of all generations of people, including Gen Y, and found that 77% of them preferred the phone as the main point of contact when it came to service issues. That's pretty much the story.